Welcome to War Thunder with Subdude. How y'all doing today? Well, this was an interesting match, not because of the action that happened in it, but because of the silly comments by some of the players, or one player in particular. I won't tell you who it was. It doesn't matter who it was, but he kind of went, A7, you didn't, he didn't even bother to take off, Okay, you're right. I didn't bother to take off at the beginning of the match. And here's the reason why. And I said it before. There's no sense in taking off in an A7 or an A4 or even a Buccaneer at this current level of play. And the reason there's no sense in it is because you're not going to get to where you want to go. You need to let the fighters go out and deal with the targets to begin with. And if you don't deal with if your team cannot deal with the enemy fighters, there's no sense in you going up. None. And let's be honest, there's really little to no reason for me to waste my airplane and have to repair it when I'm not going to get anything out of the deal. Now, I know somebody's going, you're flying a worthless plane. It's not a worthless plane. It's all in how you play the game and how you play your plane. Now, I'll be honest, I thought this match was a throwaway, and as a throwaway match, I was not exactly thrilled with it. Now, where's that little dilly? There we go. You can see we went through quite a few planes right off the bat. And the one guy that we the one guy that kept going and doing his thing got 4 kills. Very good pilot. But even the best pilot gets taken out occasionally. And you can see him up at the top, Mr. King rank. Or King Tank. As a matter of fact, we'll just go to his plane and watch what he was doing. But there was no valid reason for me to take off. There were more planes on the enemy team than there were on my team. Matter of fact, I watched 4 Phantoms get literally obliterated from the game within seconds of each other. And that was kind of an annoyance. And then that comment that was made really didn't make me feel any better. Now, he disappeared off the radar, and it was kind of hard to follow him. So we'll halt this for a moment. All right, we're back in, and this guy did a good job. He took his plane to altitude, which is where he should have been, which is where both teams should have gone. And it's where the plane does its best. And he did get into one heck of a good dogfight. But again, we he and I were both still outnumbered. I think like 4-2 or 5-2. Doesn't matter. There were more of the enemy than there were of us. And the fact that there were more of them than there were of us meant that why should I fly out and waste my plane? At least he got some kills. Matter of fact, he came away with 4 kills. But during those 4 kills, I decided it was down to 1-on-1, and the enemy plane was a Su-22. So I figured I would try for it. Now, one thing that we should be fully aware of here, not we, I, you as the viewer, when I was in this match, I don't look at the chat. I don't have the chat come up. Chat to me is a distraction. It doesn't help me. Sorry, haven't got the fingers for it. And because I don't have the fingers for it, it makes it kind of difficult to fly my plane and deal with the enemy. Vertical rolling scissors headed downhill. Vertical rolling scissors headed downhill right next to the map border. That was impressive. And to maintain his awareness, and that's a deader. And I think it was at this point that there were like 2 left, or there were soon to be 2 left. MiG-21 MF, don't know where he is. Deadshot and Richard and the MiG-21. King Tank did a good job of whittling them down. He's got 2 so far, and Coming up on number 3. Now, this was an interesting match because we had 2 German teams. You can see King Tank is flying the German MiG-23 MF. Well, the other side had German players too, which really is confusing, and it's not fun when you've got to deal with that. Yes, red team, blue team, yeah, whatever. I think this is the Yak 38 that's going to get smoke tested. Yep, there it is. One dead Yak 38. And Deadshot and Richard 12B. I think this was about the time that I decided it was time to take off. Or at least I hoped it was time to take off. And that was when it came down to 1-on-1. And yeah, that's when I decided it was time to take off. Because I figured as long as he could keep that Su-22 up high and occupied, I might be able to sneak in and get something done. And I didn't realize it, but I guess the Su-22 was packing a 6-pack of R-60s, and Ripple fired off enough of them to deplete his countermeasures and get the kill. And I just didn't notice it, but this guy was falling out of the sky. Not coming down, falling. So somewhere along in here, the Sioux decided he was going to say, I'm not interested in fighting you. I'm just going to kill AI for points, blah, 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 blah. I never saw that comment. So to the Su-22, didn't see it, Sorry. And because I did not see it, I'm not that going to worry about the fact that I, well, put a missile into you. I really didn't know why this guy was coming down so slow because, again, I don't have indications and I don't listen or even look at the chat. I don't have the chat active when I'm playing the match. So no matter, who was saying what, I didn't hear it. It's like not having your radio on. Now, if Gaijin would allow us to use the radio when we're not even in a match, that would be helpful. When you can hear the radio calls from your team, not just the stupid one-liner messages, which are, again, stupid. And there we're passing our last remaining friend in the game. And I'm loaded for bear, going out looking for a big bear. Praying to God I didn't run into him. Because this is a bomber. It's not a fighter. It has a couple of good missiles, but it's still not a fighter. And there is no amount of getting out and pushing that will make it into a fighter. It's heavy. It doesn't turn well compared to a fighter. And it's just not equipped that way. Yes, I've gotten a few kills. Not going to deny that. But even though I've gotten a few kills, that doesn't mean that it will be a good plane to be a fighter. Now, some of you are probably going, why didn't you finish off that little base? Nah. Why bother? If I can make it to one of those other two, I can get a full kill rather than a partial kill. And yes, 6 or 12 500-pound bombs will do the job on a base. I know somebody will say, well, you don't need to use that much. Like, yeah, you kind of do. So it was right about here I said, yeah, I better get the hell out of Dodge and go home. Take a landing. If the guy isn't going to do anything, I can just, good. If he's gone back to land for rearmament, that's outstanding. Figure I'd pick off maybe 1 or 2 of those AIs on the way home. Pad my score a little bit. Ended up locking up the sun, which is no fun. I am tired of that. The AIs are turning into me, turning. I'm like, great. Not going to do it. Get the hell out of Dodge. Oh shit, there he is. 8 kilometers in closing. And he's picking off AI. Supersonic Su-22 against subsonic A7. Su-22, more maneuverable, faster, and dead. Richard 12B, I apologize. I did not know you weren't going to fire. And the match was almost over. And I almost lost. But I ended up being last man standing. And good match. But it also shows you that flying this plane out initially in a match is suicidal. The same goes for the A4. There's no sense in flying these attackers out, these strike aircraft, when you will be intercepted by the enemy team long before you get to the targets. Unless you're on the enduring confrontation maps. That is the only group of maps that it's worthwhile to fly these planes on. Everything else is just a waste of time. You end up sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting to see how your team does. If your team whittles down the enemy to 1 or 2 players left, then it might be worthwhile to fly out depending upon how many of your team are left. If nobody on your team is left, there ain't no reason to fly. Just put the plane in the hangar and wait for the next match. But that's the way this plane has got to be played now. I don't know about arcade, so anyone who's an arcade aficionado, your mileage is completely different than mine. I'm not wasting money on spading this plane. I'm taking the long way home. And it's a long way home. Getting the points you need to put new weapons on this plane is absolutely astronomical. Wing repair, 21,000. 33,000 times 5. And this one is 21,000 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a lot of RP that you have to grind, and there are only so many missions that are worthwhile to even fly. There's no reason to fly these planes on anything but EC maps. Or you have to do it exactly the way I did it. Wait until your team has whittled the enemy team down to nothing. I figured it was in a 2-on-1 it was good. Didn't realize the other guy in the 2-on-1 or my teammate in the 2-on-1 was already dead and falling out of the sky. And then I saw the smoke trail behind him and the flames, and I went, oh joy, and I was already in the air. Not fun. So, if you want to fly these planes and you want to spade them, the only way to really get into it and spade this plane, or any plane like it, which would be like the A4, or the Buccaneer, or even the Jaguars, is to wait until you have an EC map to fly on. Because if you haven't got an EC map to fly on, you gotta wait until the enemy team is pared down. Otherwise, you're just throwing your plane away. This Subdude signing out. Y'all have a pleasant today, better tomorrow. We'll catch you in the sky in Air Realistic on the good maps. Take care, folks. Have a nice evening. And this is how war should be fought. In games. Take care.